Hello, my name is Chris. I'm with the Humblebladeco company, my company. I'm the CEO of my own company. Got a big piece of steel here, and I'm about to start an order. Pretty excited to get going. Someone's gonna be like, "Whoa, knife maker can't even open a box." So, got a big piece of stainless steel, motherfucker. I have. Oh, hello, do the business. You're kidding. Hey, we are just finishing up the set of 9 matching groomsmen knives. Pretty fun process. Pretty time consuming. Lots of work goes into making a knife like this, and we're almost there, so I'll kind of show you the steps that we took along the way. But before we do that, a little bit about like what it is and why we're doing it, how we're doing it. So obviously groomsmen, 9 of them. That's a pretty big deal to have some groomsmen in your life. 9 of them nonetheless. But we decided on this design, a 6-inch chef utility. It's kind of great all-around design. Some of the elements that I like to bring into my product and stuff is always hand sat and finished. A little bit of tapered tang, nice smooth ergonomic play, and then just a little bit of balance and everything, making the knife just nice and part of you. So overall, to start with something like this, you're gonna have a big piece of steel, and you're gonna go and cut it up into your design, your profile, however many you want. In this case, this was fun, cutting up a bunch of big pieces of steel, and we had to be smart about how we did it just to yield as much as possible. Then jump over, do some grinding, some bevels, get everything prepped for heat treat. After heat treating, a lot more grinding, and then the best part is hand sanding. And a big part of that, people ask why I do it. It's because I like it. It's because I prefer it. It does take a lot more time. It takes a while, but it really just makes something overall. The final product is a lot nicer and worth it. And so getting ready, gluing up, we went with some nice desert ironwood. It's one of my favorites, but this is something that should last forever, should be used for a long time, and should treat you right and be fun all around to have, to use. And it has a little bit of a story. That's what you get with a handmade product. I think it's Swiss or Swedish razor steel. I'm just happy with this steel a lot. It has a nice heat treat process, which we'll go over later here in the kiln. It soaks in some liquid nitrogen, which is also pretty cool. But for right now, to start, being as that I'm a stock removal knife maker, so there's not a lot of forging and stuff around here. Just kind of like take your shape, and we'll go through and we'll kind of figure out an optimal yield of the steel in a minute, and just go and pop through. This is for a lot of orders. It's going to keep me pretty busy. A lot of my work is focused on the finishing and everything, so we'll get started on this nice little order of 9 groomsmen. See how much steel we have left over and what we can do with it. So I'm going to be laying out this big ass piece of steel. Got a lot of pieces of steel, but you don't want to fuck up, you don't want to waste all your money. You want to get a good yield on it, so you want to get a good sense of how to cut and produce. I'm lucky enough, I'll be starting this off with some templates. This is a design that I've made a few of in the past, but there's always a couple ways to do it. You want to be mindful of how you're, because that looks good now when you're doing it, but then you're gonna run into a situation where if you're smarter, down the road, keep in mind how we're going to produce them. A little overlap there is going to go a long way. You can get. Some people are going to say like, well, hey, what about water jet? I do that. I've done tons of water jet. Well, not tons. It's a great yield on steel, maximum value. A whole other topic on that we can get into, but I just prefer to do it this way. It's more fun. Every knife is a chance to challenge a previous design decision, and I think overall as a craftsman, that's what I choose to do. Also, it's cheaper. I can do it myself. I could do it today. Kind of imagining where I'm gonna cut, taking a quick flyover. I see it's a little tight right there where I laid it out. I'm really not worried about it. I've got plenty of space and I've got the template. A big part of this step is just deriving the form. You know, I have my stock. Ultimately, I'm going to derive my billet, which is the rectangular form. Then we're going to edit our way to the profile. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drill it. Now we have a drill pattern with this guy. It's going to be 1/4-inch mosaic pins. They're really cool. I love them. Just for just a little dramatic effect, this isn't the right one, but we're using a different style, but it's nice. They're beautiful. These little pieces will save because you can always make a fun little. It's hot. So you could make it's hot. You can always make a fun. You could always make a fun little like stabber neck knife. It's hot. You could always make God damn it! I fucking bent it. Shit bent. Figure out how to change the angle grinder blades. Keep cutting. Gonna get these scribed. Use a little layout fluid. Scribe a center line. It's a pretty nice little, very helpful. Very, very helpful. Then I'm gonna do a little smear right there. So I'm gonna sort of set a little bevel goal. Before heat treat, it's gonna be very small, a shallow bevel. We wanna have a lot of robustness and beef on that blade, right? But we still want it to be thick enough, you know, it's going to be like thick so it can withstand the phase change and the heat treat and everything. And then we'll come through after heat treat and do the final and finish grinding. So it's just a lot of this, a repetition down the line. Yeah, that's about it. Running a little low, but you know, it's all good. It's really just important to have that main line. And I'll take some calipers later and like run an even bevel on both sides. It's just a goal to shoot for. Again, remember it's a shallow process, shallow bevel rather. drilling layout fluid. It's not blood. What the layout fluid does is that obviously you can see it's hot. It doesn't burn off like Sharpies and pencils and stuff like that. So it's very imperative to control the temperature of the steel, especially after heat treat. But right now it's not as imperative. We're going to sort of normalize it and relax it, part of the process how we do it. So I'm going to scribe a line to derive a center. Any two distances are fine. You're just going to kind of get to the middle. So I kind of guess, eyeball roughly where I think a good position. Just a little scribe and nothing too serious. You just want to see where. So now what I'll do is I'll come through. So I like to go visually, but I know here, so that's good. So I kind of want to see I know my design is going to have a lot of characteristics right around here. So there's going to be a nice visual center around there. It's about a finger and a half. So somewhere around here, kind of where I like it. And then that sort of finger and a half ends up being about 3 fingers in between. So this random ass metric that I made is there. And I look at it, I like it. I'm going to pull this back a little bit actually. I think the pin should be right there. There's lots of cool ways. I've used to do a direct caliper from the front and the back and everything, but it just kind of, it's part of my product is that I make it a little more organic, a little more intentionally bespoke and handmade. And that's part of the fun of my product. And that's kind of part of the nuances of larger batches with what I do. But so now we know where we're at. I'm going to take another little measurement because I like visually seeing everything that I'm seeing. And those are going to now overlap in such a way where I know exactly where the center is, and it's in between those two lines, and it's right there. And so it kind of probably looks the same to a viewer, but I know exactly what I'm looking for, and so I will go over here. I like these 1, 2, 3 blocks. So I know where it is. I see the tip of the tool. I'm going to press it down a couple times to make sure it's good, but now I'll just turn it on. Maintaining a nice even chip. So another option, what I like to do now is I'm going to go and drill a lot more holes. Now I'll go through and kind of drill out a bit of an alternating weight removal and grid sort of pattern. And I'm going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, quite a few drill holes, because this area right now, the tang, is going to be covered by the handle material or the scales. And so the holes are going to serve 2 functions, weight removal, but the less material now will also serve as an epoxy column from side A to side B of the handle material. It will have channels to travel without. Now we don't want to fill them each and every one up entirely with the epoxy or the medium that we're going to glue, because that sort of defeats the purpose of removing all the weight. You've just replaced it, but at the same time you just have to think of an open matrix or a membrane that can connect everything and just more multiple points of contact. All lined up. That's going to be ready to get scribed up for some bevels. Basically, we're going to run a nice flat grind, nice even width, consistency down the length of the blade. We're not going to go all the way to a tip. We're going to only do about 80% of the grinding. We're still going to leave a very thick apex, like 1/8 of an inch. We have to kind of double check the stock and whatever, but that's kind of the goal, obviously in the middle. But now keep in mind, this thickness that we're aiming for, and we'll circle back, we'll show you again like what it is when it's going in versus what it is on the final. The final is going to be able to pass some aspects of the edge with, you know, zero effort are going to be able to pass these super tight tolerances. You know, whereas right now 0.156 is the thickness that I like for these, with all the grinding and tapering and whatnot that I have to do. I think it's a good amount of material to remove within here. Gonna load up a little heat treat action on these guys. Just fire up the kiln, got everything pre-programmed in. So we're in the home stretch now with the project. We've got all 9 of them. Got spines polished, steels sanded. I have to go through and do the choils on the bottom next, and then some touch-ups and everything. But it's rough ground on the machine to be like 400. But what I will do is jump over and finish it by hand. Start at 220 with a little shoe shine. Still a little bit of work, but considering the amount of work and everything done to get this far, it's really in the home stretch. So we'll polish up the handle and fix up the choils and round everything so it feels really comfortable in the hand to be used. Well, that's about it. We're pretty much done. Only thing left to do is wrap everything up and get them shipped out to Nick tomorrow, first thing in the morning. We still have plenty of time before the wedding, but you know, it is important to stick to deadlines, especially with an order like this up in the air. You know, you don't want the guy to think I ran off with all his money. All right, well, that's it. Kind of wrapping up about 90 hours of work, I think, so roughly. Takes me about 10, a little bit more than 10, 15 hours of labor per knife. Like I said, I like to slow things down and do things on purpose. It's all about fit and finish. And you spend just a little bit of time creating it, and you spend a long time living with the state of the final state that you allow. And so that's a big thing that separates what I do from a lot of people. And I'm just thrilled with the way everything turned out. And I know that these are going to be making their way to some really appreciative hands, some solid dudes, all there, different stages in my buddy Nick's life. And you know, it's just kind of cool to be a part of this on my end, not just this, but all the other timeless milestones, benchmarks, stuff like that in other people's lives. So if you thought this was fun or interesting, why don't you find me on Instagram, check out what I have available on my website, humblebladeco.com, or send me an email at humblebladeco@gmail.com. There's a bunch of shit you can click on the website. Word on the street is half of them work, you know, so if you really want to get in touch with me, you'll get in touch with me, and maybe we can talk about a really cool project like this for you or someone you know sometime soon. Thanks for supporting local small businesses and artisans and the dream and my crippling weed habit. Well, thanks for watching. We got a lot of other cool stuff in the works and some more fun projects and ideas. I want to share a lot of it with you, so first of many.